Hey, look at that. 3 weeks in a row?
hmm
What are we doing?
Yeah, today was catch up on chores day, so I've not really done any relaxing this weekend other than last night.
Well, it's more relaxing than watching a sibling move on to a next step in their life.
Less so when the dog's being a jerk to the sitter, and there was a period of time where I was going to have to drive up to my parents' house to take her out to pee because she was nipping at the sitter for some reason because she's a little bitch.
Was it a new sitter?
Yeah, she had
Hmm.
met him before, but
But not in solo. Some dogs don't
yeah,
handle strangers in solo situations.
my dog doesn't handle strangers at all. It's pretty annoying. No one to blame but ourselves. She didn't get enough socialization when she was younger.
Well,
I'm sure
sometimes they
COVID
just have
didn't
to
help
warm up.
either, because my parents basically didn't. The first visitors they had over was like since COVID started was this year, a couple months ago. So she hasn't been exposed to people for a while, 2 full years.
Once she's like, wait, I don't like this.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah. Thinking about it that way, that's a fifth of her life. So even if she had been perfectly socialized before,
Chunk of life.
yeah,
She would have lost it all.
yeah. So I folded my laundry. I had a huge pile of dishes because I made pretzels for my mom for an early birthday thing. So I had all that to do because I did that real quickly on Thursday and Friday and didn't have time to clean up after because I had to apply to jobs on Thursday and then Friday I had to clean the whole house. And so
You're always
dishes have
cleaning your
taken.
house so often.
I clean it bi-weekly. I wouldn't say that's very often.
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what involves when you say clean the house, is that just like vacuuming and dusting?
Sweep the floor upstairs before I mop because mopping does not pick up my hair.
That's
It's
true. You are a hairful fellow.
so I mop or I sweep and then I mop and I vacuum everywhere. And that also includes I usually clean the toilet weekly, of course, but the rest of the
Smart.
bathroom is I do the rest of the bathroom as well. Clean the shower, wipe down the mirror, wipe down the sink, and then laundry as well.
Empty out the goo tray.
The what?
You know that your tray for goo in your bathroom.
How does goo get in the tray, Cooper?
Just whenever you have excess goo and you need to put it somewhere, you put it in the goo tray.
Where are you getting the goo?
Just natural goos that accumulate over the course of a week
Where are they accumulating?
in the goo tray.
No, no, no. But before they get to the goo tray, where are they coming from?
Oh, here and there. I'm not a subject expert on goos, Sam.
Okay. Yeah, no, I
Merely
can't
the
say I have
trays that
that.
contain them.
Yeah, but I gotta cook as well. But that's gonna end up being an overnight thing probably. Because
You
it's
can always go
a
for a pretty simple recipe this week.
huh?
You can always go for a pretty simple recipe this
Well,
week.
that would require me going back out to the grocery store and buying more food, which I'm not gonna do.
Hmm. You still have leftover ham, right?
No, I just had the last of that for dinner tonight.
See, this is why you should have bought 8 pounds.
It was an 8 pound ham.
Oh my god. I mean, 16 pounds.
It already lasted 2 weeks. I don't think I want to push it longer than that.
Frankly, I think 2 weeks is already pretty far for a cooked ham.
That was fine.
I think they're only supposed to last 4 days,
Well,
technically.
that's clearly a
If you
lie
go
because I'm
by
fine.
quote unquote FDA standard.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody were to serve me 2 week old ham, I'd be like, no, that's disgusting. What's wrong with you? But my
If
standards
you
for
eat,
myself are very low. So,
hey, well, you didn't get sick.
yeah. Because I mean, I nuke the crap out of it whenever I put it back in the microwave. So,
doesn't unspoil ham.
Hmm?
That doesn't unspoil ham.
Yeah, but it was in the fridge.
No, no. You didn't leave your ham hanging on a hook out in
No.
your kitchen.
No, I wasn't trying to make prosciutto.
And then you take out your big machete knife and you sliver off a slice
I
whenever
don't
you want
think
to
you're
eat something.
supposed to cook ham before you dry it like that either. It has to be packed in salt, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a salted ham.
Well, no. That's how you, because if you were to just try and let it dry naturally, it would start rotting. So you have to pack
Wait,
it
isn't it salted?
in.
Isn't jerky just salted ham?
Well,
Or is that
it's
beef?
also cooked. So
I've never salted anything.
those hanging ham hocks that you see, they pack those in like a big box of salt for like a week, and it very quickly draws all of the water out of them.
Right. And then they're cured.
Yeah,
Or
and
whatever.
now it'll keep for a much longer amount of time because it's very dry.
See, I wouldn't mind having a giant salt bag to cure meats into, because those things can last for like months.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it'd really only be economical if you had a butcher nearby that you could go to.
That's true.
Because you probably don't want to use grocery store meats for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess it just makes more sense to go to the grocery store. Also, it'd be kind of difficult to maneuver a giant vat of salt.
Yeah. And I don't know the logistics of how often do you change the salt, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, what's the shelf life on meat salts?
Probably once, if I had to guess. I mean, maybe you could redissolve,
Oh, it
use the
can
same
be more
bath
than
to
once.
redissolve the salt, like dissolve it with water, and then mix it with. Well, no, I was gonna say mix it with soap and then drain the soapy water off, but the salt would go with it.
Yeah, it's salt.
Yeah.
You'd have to have a very fine drain.
I'm pretty sure when salt dissolves, it dissolves down into the single
I mean, not
particles,
if it's a
right?
lot of salt. Only so much salt will dissolve in water,
True.
depending on
You
the
could
amount of
do just a
water.
very light rinse of the salt
I
to
don't think
wash off the top
I'm
layers.
gonna go. I don't know anything about salting, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say they do not soap their salt.
Probably right. While you're reading the introduction, maybe I'll do some digging and see.
See how they clean out salt.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a pretty interesting album this
Well,
week.
we gotta transition, Cooper. Hold your horses.
You said do the intro.
Huh?
I was just going into the intro.
Well, yeah, but we gotta change scenes. I gotta click the button.
Okay. Button away.
And I gotta say hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Auto Shop Podcast. So they know what they're listening, because maybe they're blind. Maybe they stumbled upon this page. That's pretty
They're like,
incentive
nice
of me,
podcast
Cooper.
about curing meats. Finally. And they're like, oh, it's a music podcast, and they clicked off. It's a meat
But
curing
I've
podcast.
transitioned,
That's
so
what brings them.
we can go.
Oh well. Welcome back to the Audio Shop Podcast. This is Cooper with my friend Sam here. And this week we'll be reviewing 1996 by Ryuichi Sakamoto. Now, Sam, I'm assuming most of our listeners are not familiar with Ryuichi Sakamoto, but he is actually 1/3 of the band Yellow Magic Orchestra, which is a band we've reviewed before on this show.
He specifically has his name called out during Tighten Up.
Mm-hmm.
He plays the bass, I believe.
Yes, he's a bassist and a keyboardist, I think, which becomes very evident in this album, and a composer. And he's had actually a pretty lucrative career post Yellow Magic Orchestra, because they were basically active in the 70s. And then post 70s, he's done many an album. He's done a bunch of original scores that have won Academy Awards, Golden Globes, Grammys, even. So he's had a pretty lucrative post YMO career. And his most recent score that you might be familiar with is the Revenant.
Oh, I have no
That
idea.
the movie where Leonardo DiCaprio is mauled by a bear.
Mm-hmm.
He did the score for that. Also played the bear. Most people don't know that.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, that was a lie, but the rest is
Oh.
true. Um, but yeah, he's had a very energetic solo career. I have listened to each one of his albums, um, and he's very talented at making good composition, solid compositions, as well as just making good film scores. And his album, 1996, is an album of his that he released in 1996. And it's basically a selection of his most popular compositions. They're kind of all arranged to a standard piano trio, i.e., a piano with a violin and I believe a bass, uh, though that may vary with a cello from song to song. So
The
it's
more
a
you know.
yeah, so it's a pretty in terms of actual instrumentation, it's a pretty simplistic album, right? At most, you have three instruments on any given song. Um, but we want to go for something a little more simple, a little more instrumental.
Yeah. And it does look like every time you salt the meat, you throw the salt away.
Every time?
Yeah.
Wow. Now that just seems impractical unless you have a very good salt supply.
But I mean, that's why you think about it in history, right? Why salt was more valuable than gold? Because you think about it, salt flats, they're fucking huge. So obviously, not only does it make things taste good, but you use it to preserve, and you have to use a fuck ton of it to preserve something. So that's why it was so valuable.
Hmm.
So
I guess that makes more sense.
yeah, sorry to derail, but you put a bug in my ear, and I had to know.
You always gotta. It's a little fun fact for today.
Mm-hmm.
Always learning.
Like to announce next
But
week
yeah,
we're starting our meat curing podcast, Music
uh,
Time.
our car themed meat podcast.
the taste of music is what it is. It's actually meat podcast.
No, but if you're already saying, we can jump right into it.
Yeah.
To track number one, a day a gorilla gives a banana. Interesting title. And like I said, most of these songs are from his either his albums or his soundtracks that he's did.
Mm-hmm.
This one was a original for this album.
I mean, it's very beautiful. It's got some nice violin just in the left ear, which is kind of, the first two songs do this. They put the violin just in the left, or I guess most of the songs do this. Violin just in the left and upper piano register in the right, to kind of balance. It doesn't quite balance, but it works.
Yeah, at least to being a little off kilter as opposed to flat.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that kind of leads to a little character. Given they're working with so few instruments on this album.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got the cello joining in as well to the right, which helps the balance quite a bit more. And the lower register for the piano is in the left, so it's kind of off kilter, but it sounds nice. It works.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you can say about the sound, it sounds nice most of the time. I mean, Sakamoto is a very solid composer. I was about to say compositionist.
It sounds somewhat right as well.
It sounds like a word, but I don't think it is a word. Yeah, no, this one's the shortest song of the album, under 2 minutes. So there's not like it's really kind of a little taste of exactly what you're going to get on this album.
Yeah, it's a nice calm piece to kind of kick us off.
Yes, and then it goes right to track number 2, Rain, which is a track off of his soundtrack for The Last Emperor.
The last what, sorry?
The Last Emperor.
Oh. Not familiar with that film.
It's a movie about the final emperor of Japan.
That makes sense.
Given the name, yes.
But, as I said before, you got the violin in the left, the same piano as before. Thankfully, though, the cello is around from the get-go, which I think drastically helps with balance. Kind of keeping it all together at once
Yeah, no, I mean, the cello holds down the fort with most of these songs having this kind of very playful interplay between the violin and the piano,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of switch off between the melody on this song. Where you had this kind of bouncing piano chords with the constantly strumming cello and the lead kind of jumping at the like quote unquote vocal notes.
And I will say, I don't really get a rain vibe from this all that much. I mean, maybe like a warm summer shower, but I don't know. It doesn't feel rainy to me.
A bit more of like the relaxing aspects of rain, kind of contemplative, not like the sad typical kind of take on rain, but kind of like more of like a flow, especially at like the 130 mark where it's like kind of flowing like water between the piano and the violin.
Okay, I kind of see where you're coming from.
Which,
yeah, I mean,
of course, this probably makes more sense in the context of the movie it was for.
Yeah, you're probably right. But I will say that little end bit, the twinkling piano, really gives me the vibe of those early animation rain shower sequences. Where there's the drop of water clinging to the end of a leaf for a possibly long amount of time before dropping into a puddle.
Yes. Like a serenity to the rain, or maybe like right after it rained, where the clouds are breaking.
Maybe. Oh yeah. I can kind of see that. Sorry if you can hear the approaching sirens in the background. I have my windows open upstairs.
They're coming for Sam for not salting his ham.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump to track number 3.
Yes, track number 3, Bippo no Azora, or translate to Beauty of a Blue Sky.
So Cooper, this album layout, it gives me some. I'm getting some deja vu here because there's oh shit, I'm resizing that. I gotta hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and set up the thing at the same time. There's the rain followed by the sunshine reminds me a little bit of this little band you might have heard of.
Try me.
It's first it's got Concerto for a Rainy Day, which is 3 songs about rain, followed by a song called Mr. Blue Sky on the album Out of the Blue by Electric Light Orchestra.
Never heard of him. Are you sure they didn't make that song after this album came out in 1996?
I'm pretty sure Out of the Blue came out in the 70s, but let me double check that. It's giving me a movie. I don't want the movie, I want the album. 1977.
Okay, so a couple years before 1996.
Just a little bit.
I don't think that's I'm not going to say that the idea of having sunshine follow rain is exclusive to
I don't know. They shortened their band name to YMO. Had orchestra in it. Maybe they're ELO fans, Cooper. That's all I'm saying.
To be fair, YMO formed in 1978, which actually was after ELO.
Yeah, ELO had already released several studio albums by that point.
You're saying they're just... I mean, they're definitely not very similar sonically.
No, I'm not saying they're ripping them off at all. Not at all. I'm just saying...
You said maybe an inspiration.
Yeah.
Possibly. I want to say I wouldn't be too surprised.
And, Sakamoto went on to have a very successful career after YMO. Jeff Lynne went on to have a very successful career.
Okay. But he's like, no, I was thinking about having an unsuccessful career, but then I saw how well it worked out for Jeff Lynne. I just figured, might as well cash in now.
Listen, we haven't talked about ELO for a while, Cooper. I gotta bring it back to the... I know we started this podcast so I would listen to more than just that, but slowly I'm trying to convert you into only listening to that like me.
No, but this song is pretty chunky one. The next couple songs are about 6 minutes long each.
Mm-hmm.
This one going for a more forlorn feeling, kind of ironic given how Rain's a little happier and the Blue Sky one's a little more forlorn.
Yeah. And the violin takes the back seat on this one for the first time. We got the piano with the lead voice. Um, as I said before, higher register in the right, lower in the left. Especially with everything else kind of in the background, it gives it a very weird ear feel. I didn't know how else to put it.
An eager feel?
Ear feel.
Oh, ear feel. Yeah, no, it makes it slightly off balance, but I think that's it. It wasn't anything that annoyed me throughout the album. And also kind of like the dual violins,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, one in each ear, with kind of the piano balancing everything out. Kind of like you've got one, like you're in the middle of a semicircle of like these three instrumentalists.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's a violin in the left and cello still in the right, just playing a
Or, yeah, cello.
slightly higher register.
But a high cello is basically a violin, Sam.
Yeah, the strings, the classical string instruments are odd in that they're all just the same thing, just getting fatter.
That's gonna be us.
Not if I have.
It's called aging, Sam.
No, I refuse. Around the 3-minute mark, the strings shift from the piano, which is there's some weird choices in this one. The strings shift to a different key, resulting in a lot of dissonance for about 20 seconds before they come back to the key at the beginning. But then they do that again at the 5-minute mark, except this time it's the piano that changes keys as the strings continue on as before.
Yeah, this album has a bit of play with distance between the piano and the violin or the strings throughout it. This one kind of dabbles in it just for a little bit, but it becomes more apparent in some later songs.
Yeah, it makes it better that they did the strings and then the piano, which kind of gives it a little bit of continuity, but still, I can't say I like dissonance. There's a reason that it's traditionally not used.
No, I think it adds like a little. It's like slightly unnerving, which is interesting on a song that's like extremely mellow like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I get that you can be artsy with it, but there's a line at some point, right? Because you don't put nails on a chalkboard in a song. It's like, no, they're using it to show the tortured spirit. Like, no, it's just a fucking awful sound. It's just
another tool in the repertoire of an artist, Sam.
I get that, but there has to be a line at some point, and it's, if I'm listening to music, I like it to be musical. So,
Sam, if you say that dissonance is good, then every time Jeff Lynne wrote a bad song, you can just say it was on purpose.
No, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and defend who's that, Cooper. I won't do that.
Well, how about we move on to track number 4, The Last Emperor, from the film The Last Emperor.
Now, I didn't realize that some of these were going to be movie soundtracks, Cooper. I think in the past we've said that maybe we shouldn't do that because they...
No. We're not reviewing a soundtrack. We're reviewing an album that happens to contain songs that appeared in soundtracks.
When's the next track come from, Cooper?
What, The Last Emperor?
No, 1919.
No, that's an original for this album.
Okay, well then my argument is ruined. Never mind.
Plus, it's a recomposition. These aren't what they sounded like in their original soundtracks.
Yeah, and as I am complaining, but this is a great song. Yes, I love the duet between the piano and the violin.
Yeah, this one has maybe the most solid central theme.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of carries this regalness yet sadness, which I think is appropriate given the film it was scoring.
The piano feels much fuller in this one as well. I feel like they're putting a little bit more pressure. Before they were just kind of tickling the ivories, right? But now they're actually pushing with a little bit more force whenever they play the notes. It fills the room, so to say.
It's got like a little more of a warmth that kind of fills the space.
Mm-hmm.
And the song has a good build-up as well. Especially like the 4-minute mark where it kind of busts open with like just a bunch of energy. It feels like a lot more full than like what 3 instruments should be able to produce.
Yeah. I think it's helped as well that occasionally the cello will duet with the violin, so they kind of swap in these duets all over the place, which adds a lot of depth since it's constantly changing And additionally, I think it's helped quite a bit by the piano uses the bass register a lot. And additionally, I think in this one, they shifted how the piano was spaced, because before, it was lower in the left, higher in the right. I think they centered the piano, which kind of helps it fill the space. Because I wasn't noticing any difference when it was just the bass register on the piano. I was hearing it equally in both ears.
Yeah, no, there's little production things that are just slightly different on this
Mm-hmm.
song that I think benefit it greatly.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Say all around solid composition.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to jump to the next track, Coop.
Yes. Track number 5, 1919. Which has this kind of, I'm not going to say spoken word. It's like if someone was playing like a radio in like a few rooms down from you while you're trying to sleep.
Yeah, calling this one a
It's
song's generous, I believe.
Yeah, this is the other album original on this one. And this one is where he really goes full force on the dissonance.
So the radio in the background is, to me, very clearly German, and 1919 obviously is during or right before the Great War, World War One.
It was right after World War One,
so
which it did in 1918.
Dissonance,
but still,
yeah.
For Japan, there was definitely a time where militarization started to gear up.
Yeah.
So perhaps a message there. Either way, the song is very
bad,
repetitive. There's a word we haven't used in a while.
The thing that's not repetitive is that cello squeaking around the 4-minute mark. That would get you thrown out of the orchestra room in high school.
Yeah, it's like this squeal, almost like squealing noise. I mean, I kind of get what they're going for here. It's like this very punctuated notes with like this very consistent violin underneath it. But it's that for like 6 minutes.
Yeah, there's nothing. It is the same couple bars looped while there's just radio broadcast going on in the background. It's not good.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I mean, the only real differentiation in here is whenever the like you said, that cello squeal comes in, which isn't like very sonically enjoyable. And I guess it adds to whatever mood he's going for on this song, but
yeah, it brings in again. This brings into the question of when is it an art statement and when is it music meant to be enjoyed by people? Because clearly I don't think this one's meant to be enjoyed. I think it's just meant to be an art statement, which, fair. That's something that you can do with your music, but that doesn't mean I have to like it.
Yeah, no, I think this one is just, it doesn't really go anywhere interesting. Or it kind of spins its wheels too long. And then just ends.
Yeah.
So yeah, not too much positive to say on 1919.
Jump to track number 6, if you're ready.
Yes, track number 6, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence," which is a track from a film of the same name, which starred David Bowie. Fun fact.
So many of my comments. So again, most of these are soundtrack things.
They're recompositions that happen to be soundtrack songs
Cooper.
originally.
Again, I'm taking this literally. I didn't know that this was a soundtrack album. So I was like, I don't really get Christmas from this one. It feels more like a spring or summer piece than winter to me.
Oh, I was getting Christmas.
I wasn't at all.
The way the piano kind of twinkles in the back, kind of like snowflakes playing off the light. Ooh, plus when that melody comes in at like the 1 minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's a solid melody.
I might as well read the rant I wrote now. I really didn't have much to say for this album, Cooper. It's beautiful, but what can I say other than it's beautiful? Because it's cello, violin, piano. right? There's not much constructive I can add to this. If you, and I think it's just me, because you throw me a pop or rock song. We've been doing this for so long. I can deconstruct that no problem. But this is really outside of the wheelhouse of music that I usually listen to. So it's like, is he using tropes? Is it lazing a pose? I don't know, because I don't have the experience. So I can say, yeah, it's pretty, but that's about all I can say for this.
Well, the only way you can get experience is by doing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But this is, again, I've listened to music for my whole life, but this kind of stuff I haven't. You're not going to turn on the radio and this is going to be there, right?
You're not going to find Merry Christmas or
no.
Mr. Lawrence on there.
It's also not like classical, right? Because I've listened to classical for many years of my life as well. But I know the rules of classical. This is not classical. Like, this is something else.
Something different. Something special.
It's different. I'll give you that.
Wow, I happen to quite like this song.
No, I it's good, but I don't like I'm saying. All I can say, yeah, it's good. I can't say there's nothing else I can really add to that statement.
I really like the bittersweet notion of this song. I think a lot of it is what the emotions you evoke from this music.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's the kind of review, because usually the way I review these is I dig into the instrumentals, but when it's just 3 instruments, my tactic kind of breaks down.
Yeah, unless you get pretty technical, which I don't think we have the necessary background to understand.
Yeah, I've not taken music theory
since
theory. High school, so. So it's very pretty, but I can't say much other than, to me, it sounded summer, not winter. But then again, I don't know when this was in the film. Maybe this film's called Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, and this scene takes place in the summer. I don't know.
That would be confusing, but I also haven't seen it, so who knows?
Maybe it's Christmas in July. Who could say? Jump into track number 7 if you're ready, Coop.
Yes, track number 7. MAY in the Backyard, which this one's interesting. Kind of, the piano really jumps around on this one and offers kind of a tense energy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say tense so much as it was lively, because you've got those really quick notes on the piano with a little bit of pizzicato in the strings, and to me that, I don't know if I'm being influenced by the title here, but I was like, yeah, this is kind of springtime.
Now this is it's also got those like that quote unquote percussion where it's like the string slapping, which I thought was an interesting way to get around the no percussion on this. Especially at like the 1 minute mark, it's very intentionally dissonant.
See, I didn't notice that as much in this one. I think where it's used well, it doesn't even register for me.
I think the reason I called it a lot better than in 1919.
Yeah, the reason I called it before was just it was very in your face, and it was dissonance for the sake of dissonance. Whereas this one, it's being used in a way where it's like, yeah, that works.
No, I definitely think it's used a lot better on this song.
Mm-hmm. And I really enjoy the twinkling piano at the 3 minute mark with the really quick short strokes on the strings. I could not for the life of me figure out what the heck those are called. It's where you have the violin and you're just very quickly drawing your bow up and down on the one string.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the technical term for that either. I was a trumpet kid.
Yeah, myself. I mean, I was tuba, but I know pizzicato, thankfully. I know that one, but I don't know what it's called. But it's used a lot in like horror movies, for like suspense.
Yeah.
I want to say dithering. That's not right. Oh well, I looked before. I searched for a good 10 minutes. I couldn't find it. But yeah, this one for me was nice and sunny.
I did not get a sunny vibe at this at all. But I guess that's an interesting thing about, I guess, compared to vocalized music, right? Mm-hmm. Lyrics typically very much inform the mood of the song, right? Where as a pure instrumental, it's kind of a lot more up to the listener's interpretation.
Especially
And
when
then
it's
whatever the
just
name of the
3
title is.
instruments.
Yes. Because I got kind of a 10th century receipt vibe, while you got more of a sunny vibe.
We'll jump into track number 8 if you're ready.
Yes, track number 8, The Sheltering Sky.
If it'll work. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my keyboard for some reason. There we go. So I really like the soft piano at the start of this. And there's a nice effect here where when the violin comes in, the piano shifts to a lower register as the violin goes up, and then when the violin gets really high, it shifts back up to the register it was in to start with, keeping like an equidistant amount of octaves. Not quite equidistant, but that's the kind of effect it gives.
It's kind of, it leads to more of the balancing, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
But especially like when it kind of breaks open at the 1 minute mark, where it kind of like they kind of can gel back together, and kind of this ominous descending line, where everything just kind of starts to go down, as opposed to the violin climbing earlier.
Yeah, and there's great building throughout, but near the I didn't write what time this was at, but near the end, there was a really nice trio feel almost, as each instrument plays their own main line, so to say, and just it gave it a lot of depth compared to some of the other songs.
So I quite like this one. No, I don't have much more to say about it beyond that. I guess I really like the part at 3:10 where it kind of like gets energetic, with the main theme kind of going back in.
Jump into track number 9.
Track number 9, a tribute to NJP. NJP in this case being Nam June Pak, who was a Korean American artist, who's famous for being sort of the founder of video art, i.e., the use of video and like art exhibits, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't know why it's called a tribute to him, because he didn't die until 2006. But
well,
I guess he did.
You can tribute people that are still alive.
That's true. That's true.
There's a little bit of odd chaos at the start of this. Kind of seeps in as the background noise starts, and it is almost treated as another instrument. I couldn't really place that background noise.
Yeah, I think it's another case of interesting use of dissonance on the album, where like it's a little unnerving for the first 30 minutes before it kind of breaks into like its proper melody.
Mm-hmm.
Though once it gets there, I quite like the kind of moody, dramatic piece it invokes.
Yeah. Yeah, this one was odd. There wasn't really a main line, like the main voice of the instruments. It very much treated that background noise as the fourth instrument, and there was a little bit of time where it felt like the piano had the main line, but it just kind of felt like all 4 instruments were kind of just playing together with each other.
I think the most interesting part is, I guess, that kind of background noise. If I had to guess what it was, and maybe it's some sort of like video art that he kind of incorporated into it.
Maybe he just recorded some people walking around a gallery. Who knows?
Oh, that'd be smart.
Yeah. It just there's not really anything to latch onto with it. It's just kind of there.
Very far away. Kind of hard to understand exactly what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but moving on to track number 10, High Heels, main theme.
I'm guessing this is a movie called High Heels.
This is a movie. It's a Spanish melodrama, which is an interesting I don't know how Sakamoto got involved with some of these movies, but
Yeah.
man really jumped around in terms of the soundtrack spectrum.
I really like the use of, like I said before, I haven't done music theory since high school, so I think that's a minor key, but I'm not entirely positive. It sure sounds minor to me.
No, I'm pretty sure it's minor. And it kind of adds it kind of, I mean, coming from the melodrama,
Yeah,
it kind of carries that
gives it that darker tone.
dramaticism. Yes. I can imagine someone giving a very impassioned speech about love over this song.
I don't know about love. I think it's more drama because
Lost.
you get really near to dissonance at points, but it all works together somehow.
Especially at that like 1 minute mark where the high violins come swooping in.
Mm-hmm.
Almost kind of turns into like almost like a bit of a dance or a waltz.
Well, it's got to be 3/4 to be a waltz, Cooper.
That's it a bit like.
No, it's got to be 3/4. Is it 3/4? Nothing like a waltz, then.
It's on or off. It's black or white with a waltz.
Ready to jump to the next one?
Yeah. Jump to track number 11, Neko no Torso, or Torso of a Blue Cat.
So what part of that Japanese there means blue?
Aneko. Well, Aneko means blue cat.
Oh,
Ao
okay.
being the kanji for
So
blue,
the
and
blue
then
is
Neko
combined
the,
into, because I knew obviously torso is probably torso,
yes,
and neko I've heard used for cat.
yes, and the no is kind of a connector.
So AO is the modifier to make it blue.
Ao is just like the kanji for blue. So it's like if it's attached with another kanji, then it becomes AO. I believe in this case. So it'd be like saying red cat, but just having it as one word.
That was my only question for you for that.
No, that's fine. Kanji can be weird.
Yeah, since you
especially
actually
with how you pronounce it.
You study this, so
Yeah. Another thing is that kanji can be pronounced like several different ways depending on how it's used, which is annoying. But
hey,
I guess so is English.
At least it's not Chinese,
so,
right?
I mean, I haven't studied in Chinese, so I can't say whether that's...
Well, you don't remember... Oh, you never lived with Malia while she was practicing Chinese.
I can't imagine much easier. But also, I can't imagine it being much easier to speak Japanese than trying to learn English.
Yeah.
At the very least, Japanese rules are rather consistent.
English is three languages wearing a trench coat that ruffle through other languages' pockets in a back alley for verbs.
No, but as the name kind of implies, this is a more melancholic song.
Yeah, this is the one where I wrote that rant I said earlier.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of this, I can understand how you kind of run out of things to say.
Yeah, because it's like I can say I really like this one. It's pretty, but I don't have anything original to add to it. Like that, I've said all I can say about the three instruments.
Sam, to be fair, I could have gone for the version we're reviewing is the original 1996 American release. I could have gone for the original Japanese release, which is 20 minutes longer.
I was nearing my wit's end by the end of this, Coop. I'll be honest with you.
That's what I figured I should go with the shorter version.
Because it's very nice, but holy shit, I wanted to hear something more than just violin, cello, and piano by the end of this.
It's a piano trio.
Yeah.
So this is moving on to the final song, if you're ready, Sam. This is track number 12, The Wuthering Heights.
Play on Wuthering Heights. Or Withering Heights.
It's based on the novel of the same name. Have you never heard of it?
I was thinking of the TV show.
I think the TV show would be a play on this, then.
Well, the TV show is probably a play on the book as well.
And the book came out in 1847, so I'm going to say yes.
Yes, yeah. I mean, Wuthering Heights was Monty Python, wasn't it? Or no, I'm thinking of Faulty Towers. Never mind. Ignore me.
There are two things that are named two words.
And they're both British.
That's true.
But I did like how it ended it with a bit more power behind the piece than a softer one. It's such a calm album, but it's still a calm song. But this one has a bit of oomph behind it, like
Yeah, it does have a little more pizzazz, so to speak.
what was the other one before? Last it's kind of in the same vein as Last Emperor.
Yeah, where it pops off as much as a piano trio can.
Well, I wouldn't even say pop. Cooper, piano's used in a lot of things. Same with violin.
As much as a piano trio can.
Yeah. I mean, you play honky tonk on piano, Coop, so this is as much as you can, staying within the theme of the album.
Exactly. I mean, incredible use of violins throughout, I would say. I mean, obviously, Sakamoto was the pianist for every song in this album, with him having a number of violinists, but only same celloist for all the songs as well.
Wow.
A certain, that's going to be hard to pronounce. I'll just call him Jacques.
Oh, is he French?
He's Portuguese, actually Brazilian.
Yeah, probably don't attempt to pronounce that. But yeah,
it helps to
fantastic
add a little extra flair because there's some different violins throughout the album, which I'm sure add their own subtleties.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm not much of a strings expert, so I couldn't say, yes, that's a Barry Sinclair right there. Everton Nelson. Good choice there, Sakamoto. No, but
shame he didn't bring Richard Tandy on to play any of the piano.
And he had the piano all to himself.
Yeah. Richard Tandy was the keyboardist for Electric Light Orchestra, in case you weren't familiar.
Fun fact, this album was mastered by the same guy who mastered Eagles' Hotel California.
Huh?
I don't know what you can do with that information, but it's true.
Put it in the memory bank and immediately forget it.
Break that one out of the party.
Do you know that the same man
Sam,
who
come
mastered...
over here. We're playing a trivia game. Oh, this is a hard one. Sam, do you happen to know who mastered Sakamoto's 1996 album, 1996? Well, was it Ted Jensen? Because he mastered the Eagles, right? So they got to be related there.
No, you didn't tell me the name until right now, Cooper. I just knew the same guy that did the Eagles did this album. I didn't know his name.
Oh, Ted Jensen.
Ted Jensen, okay. Yeah, I'm not going to remember that.
Yeah, but that is the album.
In 1996, this artist released the album of the same name.
Come on, YMO. Remember the name.
Yeah, that's the album. So, Cooper, let's do least favorite first, because I'm pretty sure we're going to align exactly.
Yes. I had to say my least favorite's 1919.
Yeah, it's not a song.
It's one of the two original compositions in there. It's the weakest one.
It's an art piece. It's not a song.
Maybe just threw this one in for fun.
Yeah. I mean, there's valid, if you want to make art, you don't have to make it so other people like it. You just do something that you want to do, right? That's the whole point of art. But this isn't good. Like if he says, yeah, this was just meant to make a statement, I'm like, okay, fine. But if you're like, no, you're supposed to like this. No, it's...
Yeah, no, I'm not crazy for this, for 1919. It's just too dissonant compared to the rest of the album.
Yeah, and there's not really a theme to it either. It's just 6 minutes of a German guy talking on a radio 2 houses down.
Well then, Sam, what was your favorite song if you had to choose?
I would have to say probably The Last Emperor. It definitely...
we are also in agreement. Well, actually, no, we're not in agreement with that. Oh. It's my second favorite.
It's a good song. I love how full it is. I think a lot of other songs could have used that fullness because you're just playing with 3 fucking instruments. So, maybe they take advantage of them a bit more. But yeah, I love the shifting duets throughout, and heavier use of bass registers. Just a nice song. What about you, Coop?
Man. So I'm just digging through his Wikipedia page. This guy, did you know he made the startup sound for the Sega Dreamcast?
What, Sakamoto?
Yeah, Ryuichi Sakamoto. He did that.
What the hell is this? This guy's like this Forrest
I told
Gump
you
of
this
music.
guy.
What the fuck?
This guy gets around.
Yeah.
No, sorry, but yeah, no. So Last Emperor is my second favorite. I think my favorite has to be "Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence."
Really?
I'm just a sucker for that melody, and I know it's a little mellow for you, but I just thought it really carried the emotion through, and the interplay between the violin and the piano, sweet but bittersweet, very good.
No, that's a good one, but it definitely doesn't carry the same weight to me. But fair enough.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, then, Sam, I think it's time that we get on over to the rating of this album. Now,
Yeah.
Sam, I'm not familiar. How does that rating system work?
So Cooper, as we were talking about at the start here, this is a meat-themed music podcast.
Podcast, yes.
So obviously, cream of the crop, top of the top showroom. You know, you go to your local meat showroom. This is the one that they have spinning in the window, the one everybody wants, the best of the best. And then the very bottom, scrapyard. You know, these are the scraps of meat that you wouldn't even feed to the dogs. This is where they're all thrown. And then high or low in between. Just really depending on how we feel during that day. So Cooper, what would you rate this album?
I'd give it a low like new to a high fixer upper. I'm leaning more towards low like new though. I mean, it's not your traditional album listening experience. I think compared to modern music sensibilities for the most part. But I, for the most part, very much enjoyed his composition of these songs. I've heard the original of most of them, besides the ones that are from soundtracks. And I think he is able to remain faithful to his original compositions while putting kind of an original spin on it. Right, this isn't like a remaster someone does 20 years down the road, and it's just the same music. I think it's kind of a interesting creative restraint to just stick to the piano trio for it. I think for the most part, it pulls off some very nice compositions that I quite enjoy listening to. How about you, Sam?
I'm gonna give this a low fixer-upper, probably. I like the classical style. These are the kind of songs where if one of them were to come on while I'm driving at work and I have my radio tuned to the local radio station, which plays classical music for most of the day, I'd be like, oh, that was a nice trio, because occasionally they'll play big name stuff and they'll play some smaller stuff as well. However, sitting through a full album, you probably don't want to do that. I mean, it's fine if you have it on the background, but even for background music, it's very samey being a trio. Yeah, it's just okay. It's very beautiful.
You go to it with the right expectations.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, but probably one song at a time, and you'll enjoy it better. Honestly, it's like I'll put it in terms that you can understand, Cooper. It's like drinking a grasshopper, right? Each individual sip is great, but if you drink the whole thing at once, probably gonna throw up.
And yet, why do I keep coming back for more, Sam? Riddle me that.
Because it is beautiful, and each individual sip is great. It's just the experience as a whole is not as good. It's less than the sum of its parts, I should say. Also, I've been very stressed today, so that probably has a bearing on my.
So you weren't in the mood for some relaxing piano music?
No, I was. Well, maybe not this.
It's aura. It mocks me.
Yeah, maybe not this light. Something just a little bit like if they were all like The Last Emperor, probably had zero complaints. But it's just too light.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that's the review. Rolling on over now to the spare tire, which is whatever else we've listened to this week. I do not think I've listened to really anything, I'll be honest.
Nothing at all?
other than my drive into work ELO and yeah, honestly, just drive into work ELO.
Its own playlist, of course.
Yeah, I listened to a lot of podcasts this week. That's probably why.
I too am a fan of the podcast. Well, as for me, I've been mostly listening to. I went to a Haim concert this week.
Yeah, I remember.
So I re-listened through their discography there. Also been listening to a lot of Coldplay in preparation of the Coldplay concert I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of been revisiting some oldies, so to speak, this week. Got to make sure I got those lyrics memorized. But beyond that, nothing too grand.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't in a music mood this week. I was very busy. Oh, I did listen to I take it back. I listened to almost the entirety of the Interstellar soundtrack. Because that's my go-to focus music. I utilized that a lot in college when I was studying or working on homework.
Intense for focus music.
Huh?
It's kind of intense for focus music.
Yeah, but you can. It works where you can turn it up and it kind of blocks everything out. Because I was applying to all those jobs on Thursday, so that was much needed to keep me in the zone. Because otherwise, I would start trying to do other things.
Perf.
The dust.
Did you know that Timothée Chalamet plays the young boy in Interstellar?
No, he does not.
Not the Dust Boy, because that's like the grandchild, but the one that turns into Casey Affleck.
Oh, I don't even remember him before.
Yeah, I remember where he's like, "Murph, I'll miss you most of all. You're my only child," and his son's like, "I'm also here."
Yeah, his son really doesn't make an appearance until he grows up. It's really just all about Murph. And John Lithgow.
Love is the fourth dimension.
No, it's gravity. Gravity.
Sorry, love is the fifth dimension.
But yeah, that's that, and I've got a playlist of organ concertos that I listen to as well for focus. But I felt Interstellar this week because it was going to be a long one, and I almost got through the whole album. It's a long one.
It's a chunky movie.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, well, all right. Another album in the bag.
Yeah. If you've liked what you've heard and liked my complaining for the last hour, you can go on over to our YouTube. Just scroll down. There's the picture of Jeff Lynne, guy with the aviators. You click that. All our past episodes are over there, minus the one Supertramp. And if you're listening on YouTube, Sundays at 8 p.m., usually, not next week, but usually, is when we're live. How about the Twitter, Cooper?
Yeah, well, you can find out exactly what we're going to be reviewing at Audio Shop Pod. It's POD. We'll let you know what we're reviewing and what week we're reviewing it. Like Sam said, won't be here next week, but we'll try to secure it the week after.
Which we'll see, because that's right before my mom's birthday, so I might be... I won't be home this late, be at my parents' this late in the evening, but it might be a case of I am not going to be around for long enough that doing this will not be feasible, so we'll see.
Completely fair. The mother's birthday takes place first.
Yeah.
And if you haven't already, tell your mom it's Mother's Day.
Yeah, I talked to her yesterday.
I was talking to the audience in general.
Oh.
Well, I talked to her yesterday.
Yeah,
I called her last month.
I was with her all day yesterday. We celebrated Mother's Day yesterday since I was home.
That's good.
Which I could have been home today, but my parents thought my sister needed to be back to move, and That's what they told me. And my sister thought I wanted to be back yesterday evening to be home. So we both thought the other one was the one that didn't want to stay the night.
They played you like a fiddle.
She was sitting in the room when they told me that as well. She was holding the phone. We were on the phone with them. She said, "Oh yeah, I was zoned out." I'm like, "Well, I can't help you there then. You can blame me if you want, but it's all your fault."
There's only so far you can get with dispensing information.
Yeah, like they said this. You had the phone in your hand. I was sitting across from you on the couch when we called them. Like, maybe should have corrected him then. Anyway,
maybe she just wanted to spend more time with her brother.
No, because I brought her back home to her apartment and dropped her off. There was no extra time there. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
See you later, shoppies.
See ya.